For more on all of this. The scenes we're seeing, Kristie, out of the universities there have been quite hard to fathom. Seeing these protesters virtually turn these universities into a fortress. Just bring us up to speed with what you're hearing there right now.
Linda, it's midnight here in Hong Kong, and all week it has been building up to this. Clashes underway at Hong Kong Polytechnic University between hardline protesters who have barricaded themselves inside the campus and riot police. The hardline protesters inside throwing petrol bombs, barricades have been set on fire, and we know that the police have been responding to tear gas as we look at these live images on your screen. Let me give you some context about where this is taking place. Again, at Hong Kong Polytechnic University. It's located in the district of Hong Kong. That is on the Kowloon side of Hong Kong. It's next to a very strategic and significant transport hub. It's next to the Cross Harbor Tunnel, which links Kowloon to Hong Kong Island. It is also next to a PLA garrison. Now, police on Friday, they called the situations that were happening at these universities. They were saying that these universities, earlier in the week, Chinese University of Hong Kong, as well as Hong Kong University, also barricaded up. But the focus tonight is on Hong Kong Polytechnic University. And they called it an arsenal for offensive weaponry. We saw in the run-up to what we're seeing right now that the hardline protesters inside, who could consist of protesters, of agitators, of students, etc., were preparing bows and arrows, something called fire arrows, catapults, medieval barricades, of course, petrol bombs, in anticipation of a showdown, of a clash like this. We are waiting word for police to move in. That has not happened yet, but clashes are underway as you see these live pictures from Hong Kong Polytechnic University. Now, the police, they say that these hardliners have turned these campuses into arsenals for offensive weapons. But CNN has talked to some of the hardliners inside that very campus. In fact, one person told CNN that we only have weapons. This is all that we have. Police can shoot us with live ammunition. Our weapons aren't enough to defend us. Now, what we're seeing right now, this tension buildup, these clashes underway at this university, happens just hours after another surreal event happened earlier in the day when PLAs, People Liberation Army soldiers, were seen clearing the debris off the streets of Kowloon Tong. They were not wearing military fatigues, but rather just army green T-shirts, black shorts, bearing brooms. It's unclear at this moment whether they volunteered to clear up the debris from the protests or if they were asked to do so, but nevertheless, it's seen as a very symbolic gesture. I should also add that the PLA has multiple garrisons throughout Hong Kong. They've been here since 1997. They've also been active in the back of multiple typhoons that have swept through, volunteered their services to clean up the streets. But at this moment, we're focusing on what's happening right now at Hong Kong Polytechnic University. Fears of a crackdown, fears of the riot police moving in, as these hardline protesters have set up these barricades and are awaiting just this, hopefully not, but perhaps could very well be a violent showdown between the hardliners and police. Linda.
Thanks, Kristie. And of course, we do know that the ramifications for this are larger than what's going on in Hong Kong, because we have heard that the United States has cancelled its study abroad program to Hong Kong, and Scotland has recalled its students. So the impact of this is even bigger than just Hong Kong.
Yeah, international students, as you mentioned, have been affected. They are now leaving the universities. University classes have been canceled. Also, classes this last week at secondary schools and primary schools throughout this territory of 7.4 million people. This entire city has been affected. Schools canceled, transport affected, businesses shut down because of lack of tourism. I mean, this is affecting every single person here. And we are now entering 6 months of nonstop protests. Hong Kong, this last week, we have seen reach a new boiling point, a level of violence we had never seen before, especially those events that happened on Monday when police shot a hardline protester with live ammunition in the torso. Also, that other grotesque scene we saw later in the day of a civilian being attacked by protesters with being set on fire. We had another casualty this week, Thursday night, a 70-year-old man who was hit in the head with a brick in the midst of clashes between anti-government protesters and police. He passed away. That follows the death last week on Friday of a student, Alex Chow, who fell off of a building in the midst of clashes and protests and he died as a result of his injuries. The death toll is rising, the tension is rising, and at this moment, past midnight here in Hong Kong, all eyes on the situation in Hong Kong Polytechnic University, where hardline protesters have barricaded themselves inside. They have turned this university campus into, in parts of it, like a medieval citadel, building barricades. We've seen catapults, slingshots. They've prepared fire arrows. They have thrown petrol bombs earlier in this evening. The police have responded with tear gas, and we're just waiting to see what's going to happen next. Linda.
And Kristie, you mentioned the Chinese soldiers that have been seem to be helping clean up the debris, not in military gear, but in casual clothes. We've got those pictures now. I want to get a sense of China's position on all of this, because it wasn't that long ago that we saw that troop build up at the border, whereby US President Trump seemingly warned mainly in China to be careful about the way they responded to these pro-democracy demonstrations.
It is very significant and very symbolic, Linda, that we're seeing these PLA soldiers not in military fatigues, not in camo, not in combat gear, but in shorts and T-shirts and bearing brooms, picking up the debris. Again, we're still waiting for comment from the PLA, also waiting comment from Beijing on whether their efforts were requested from the Hong Kong government or if this was something that they did on their own volition. But at the moment right now, it seems Beijing is content with having Hong Kong police itself. It wasn't that long ago, a couple of weeks ago, when Carrie Lam was in China. She met with senior Chinese officials, including Xi Jinping, in Shanghai, who effectively gave her a pat on the back and congratulated her and her administration for the handling of the protests. And we've seen this last week a significant uptick in the police response here in Hong Kong. It seems that the Hong Kong police are emboldened. This is a matter that they are going to take care of without the intervention from Beijing. Linda.
Kristie Lu Stout, just after midnight there in Hong Kong. Good to have you with us on this story. Thanks very much.